By now, you're well aware of the new conservative breakdown of the Supreme Court, 6-3 in favor of the conservatives. Here's another breakdown. Democrats have won the popular vote in 7 out of the last 8 presidential elections. Of course, we have the electoral college system in this country right now, which is how Trump, who lost the popular vote in 2016, got 3 picks on the Supreme Court. Even though Americans have largely chosen Democrats for the presidency over the last 3 decades, a new hard-right Supreme Court appears poised to turn back the clock to the 1970s. It's like Americans voted for the West Wing and instead got that 70s show. This has created the scenario where the minority views on a whole range of hot-button issues could carry the day for a generation. That brings me to something Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor warned this week, that overturning the 1973 landmark decision of Roe v. Wade would create a stench in Washington, which in this town is saying something.
Will this institution survive the stench that this creates in the public perception that the Constitution and its reading are just political acts? I don't see how it is possible. If people actually believe that it's all political, how will we survive? How will the court survive?
Sotomayor is warning the credibility of the Supreme Court is on the line, making the point that the only reason why we are having this discussion about abortion rights is because the composition of the court has changed. The merits of the case really haven't. And it doesn't take a legal scholar to see which way the wind is blowing. Just listen to how the court's conservative justices have been weighing the case that could topple Roe, Mississippi's restrictive abortion law.
But if it really is an issue about choice, why is 15 weeks not enough time?
The fetus has an interest in having a life, and that doesn't change, does it, from the point before viability to the point after viability?
The reason this issue's hard is that you can't accommodate both interests. You have to pick. That's the fundamental problem.
That last voice you heard was Justice Brett Kavanaugh, one of Trump's 3 justices on the high court. His comments suggest he's inclined to uphold Mississippi's 15-week ban. But back when he was being confirmed, he emphasized the importance of precedent.
What would you say your position today is on a woman's right to choose?
Well, as a judge, it is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. By it, I mean Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Been reaffirmed many times. Casey is precedent on precedent, which itself is an important factor.
Republican Senator Susan Collins, you may remember, assured Americans at that time that Kavanaugh would leave Roe alone.
We talked about whether he considered Roe to be settled law. He said that he agreed with what Justice Roberts said at his nomination hearing, in which he said that it was settled law.
Moral of the story, our system appears to encourage nominees to the Supreme Court to mislead the public about their views. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, it's no mystery, has been plotting a dominant conservative majority on the Supreme Court for years. Back in 2016, after Justice Antonin Scalia died, McConnell blocked Barack Obama's pick, Merrick Garland, by denying him any Senate hearings. McConnell said it just wouldn't be right to put Garland on the high court at that time during an election year.
This is not about this particular judge. This is about who should make the appointment. We're in the process of picking a president, and that new president ought to make this appointment, which will affect the Supreme Court maybe for the next quarter of a century.
And then last year, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away less than 2 months before the election. What happened? According to PBS, McConnell called Trump the night Ginsburg died, urging him to select Amy Coney Barrett quickly. Barrett was widely viewed at that time as a shoo-in to overturn Roe versus Wade.
McConnell told him 2 things. He said, first, I'm going to put out a statement that says we're going to fill the vacancy. Second, he said, you've got to nominate Amy Coney Barrett.
Less than a year later, Justice Barrett appeared at an event at the McConnell Center at the University of Louisville. That's right, the McConnell Center at the University of Louisville. She told this to the crowd: "My goal today is to convince you that this court is not comprised of a bunch of partisan hacks." Now, where would anybody get an idea like that? Never mind, the polls show that the majority of Americans oppose overturning Roe versus Wade. Opponents of Roe have become the dogs who've caught the car, except in this case, they have no idea how to drive it. It's more like dogs playing poker at this point. If Roe is struck down or gutted, other states will likely outlaw abortion. Does anybody have a plan for how to enforce that? What can Democrats say at this point? Life's a Mitch, I guess. But the harsh reality is that Democrats have been outmaneuvered by Mitch McConnell. Now Democrats may be staring at the chessboard, wondering what to do. What about the filibuster? The same filibuster that is preventing all kinds of legislation from passing in the Senate, from abortion rights to protecting America's elections to gun laws. Just this week, another American high school was terrorized by a mass shooter. This time it was Michigan. Lives have been shattered. Students have been traumatized. And despite poll after poll showing most Americans favor new gun safety laws, despite the sky-high support for universal background checks, Democrats can't seem to find a way to pass any kind of restrictions on firearms. Any. The filibuster stands in the way. A few moments ago, we played Justice Samuel Alito saying, quote, "The fetus has an interest in having a life." What about the students in Michigan and Florida and Colorado and Connecticut and on and on? What about their lives?
Absolutely. We have a right to life. We have a right to worship. We have a right to send our kids to school without fear. We have a right to go to a mall. We have a right to go to a movie. And we have a right to do so without the fear that our life will be ended by a bullet.
It should come as no surprise that Trump's justices on the Supreme Court recently signaled they want to expand gun rights, not limit them. Trump once told longtime journalist Bob Woodward, McConnell's strategy was simple: focus on the judges. Consider the ages of Trump's Supreme Court justices. Neil Gorsuch is 54. Brett Kavanaugh is 56. Amy Coney Barrett is 49. That one makes me feel a little old. But Democrats could think about it this way. If Mitch McConnell were in their shoes, what would he do? Given what we know, would we see him letting the filibuster stand? Is the filibuster more important than election rights and women's rights? Is it more important than the lives of our teenagers, the safety of our schools? Democrats could just ask themselves, what would Mitch do? Or they can just keep on thinking, life's a Mitch.